Everyone wants to know what winning feels like. Few ever ask what you lose along the way. For years, I believed that once the money arrived, everything would make sense. That the void would vanish. That the silence would stop hurting. But no one warned me about the cost. And I paid dearly. If you're chasing success thinking it will save your life, please, listen to this until the end. My name doesn't matter as much as the story I carry. I'm just another man who spent his whole life chasing something, only to realize too late what I left behind. Before we continue, I ask you one simple thing. If this story touches you at any point, subscribe to the channel. Here, we don't talk about shortcuts or empty promises. We talk about real life, about choices, about consequences. And at the end, I want you to tell me in the comments if you've ever felt this same weight in your chest. Now, let me tell you how it all began. I remember exactly the day I realized I had made it. There were no fireworks, no applause. It was in an empty parking lot at night, engine off, with a heavy silence sitting beside me. The money was coming in. The bills were paid. Respect finally accompanied my name. On the outside, I looked like a winner. On the inside, I was exhausted. I spent years waking up before the sun, crossing long, dusty roads with a head full of goals and a hardened heart. I told myself it was just one more sacrifice, just one more year, just one more push. In the Wild West, men crossed deserts chasing gold, believing a better life waited on the other side. I did the same. Only I wore a suit, an expensive watch, and carried silent promises. When success arrived, I expected to feel pride, joy, peace. But what came instead was a question that echoed loudly that night. Is this it? I had conquered everything they said mattered. And yet, something essential seemed to have been dropped along the trail. No one talks about the small sacrifices. They seem harmless at first. A missed dinner, an unanswered call, a postponed promise. I said I was doing it for the family, for the future, for something bigger. And maybe I was. But I was also drifting away, one step at a time. While I chased success, I stopped listening to simple stories. Stopped paying attention to the details. Stopped truly being present. In the Wild West, those who spent too much time on the trail knew. The further you went, the harder it was to come back as the same man. I started measuring life in results. Everything became a number. Productivity, profit. Without noticing, I began negotiating things that shouldn't have a price. Time, patience, affection. Success requires focus, they say. But no one warns you that too much focus can make you blind. When I looked around, I realized I had traded deep conversations for empty meetings, real moments for distant targets. And the worst part? I called it maturity. Vanished people don't leave all at once. They drift away in silence. First, the visits become rare. Then, the texts take longer to answer. Until one day, they stop coming. I watched it happen and did nothing. I thought it was part of the process, that true bonds would survive my absence. But that's not how it works. Relationships need presence, not explanations. And I offered too many justifications and too little of myself. There came a moment when I realized I had no one left to share the weight of my achievements with. Victories without witnesses have no flavor. In the Wild West, the men who returned from the trail alone knew. Gold weighs more when there's no one waiting for you. I missed birthdays. I missed vital conversations. I missed the chance to say, I'm here, when it still made a difference. And success didn't give any of it back. It just stood there, watching. While I learned, too late, that some absences are permanent. There's a kind of loneliness that has nothing to do with being alone. It appears when you realize you can no longer let your guard down. I'd come home tired, my mind still trapped at work. My wife would speak to me, and I'd answer with my body present but my soul miles away. I thought just being there was enough. It wasn't. In the Wild West, a man who spent too much time on the road learned to sleep with his eyes open. I did the same, right inside my own home. Success taught me to be strong, focused, resilient. But it didn't teach me how to be vulnerable. I didn't talk about the fear, the pressure, the weight of sustaining it all alone. So I stayed quiet. And when a man stays quiet for too long, he creates a desert around him. My wife began carrying questions I never answered. And I carried the pride of someone who thinks silence is strength. That's when I realized, success can put you on top, but it can also leave you stranded, with no one to share the exhaustion. Nothing prepared me for that day. I got home earlier than usual. I opened the door expecting to hear footsteps, voices, the usual chaos. The house was silent. My children had grown old enough to stop waiting for me. They had learned to live without counting on my presence. And that hurt more than any financial failure. I always said I was doing it all for them, that one day they would understand. But children don't understand absence. They feel it. In the Wild West, kids learned early to fend for themselves when their father didn't return from the trail. I never thought I'd be that man. I missed school plays, bedtime stories, simple questions that never come back. By the time I noticed, my kids didn't look for me to tell me about their day anymore. They had built a world where I was just a visitor. Success gave me comfort, but it took something money can't buy. Being remembered as someone who was actually there. That night, I sat alone and understood a hard truth. It's not that time goes by fast, it's that childhood does. I always believed that if something was wrong, I could fix it by working harder. That's how I solved almost everything in life. But it didn't work with my family. When the problem started, the distance, the silence, the tired looks, I did what I knew how to do. I worked even harder. More money, more security, more comfort, and less connection. I tried to compensate for my absence with gifts, trips, things. But love accepts no substitutes. In the Wild West, gold couldn't buy true loyalty, only temporary survival. My wife didn't want more promises. She wanted presents. My kids didn't want more toys. They wanted stories. And I didn't have time. Or rather, I didn't make time. That's when I realized money only amplifies who you already are. It doesn't fix what was neglected. Success gave me the power of choice in almost everything, except the power to turn back time. There was a night I sat alone in the dark living room while the house slept. The success was there. The numbers were right. Life looked organized. And yet, I felt hollow. I thought about the paths I chose, the roads I traveled without looking back. In the Wild West, there was a moment when a traveler had to decide. Keep pushing forward, or turn back before it's too late. I realized I had gone too far. The silence in that house wasn't peace. It was accumulated distance. I understood that success without family is just comfortable survival. That conquering the world isn't worth it if you lose the ones who call you by your name. That night, I promised myself I needed to redefine everything. Not the past, that doesn't change, but what was still within my reach. Because in the end, the greatest cost of success isn't the effort. It's the risk of reaching the peak and having no one there to share the view. For a long time, I defined success by numbers. How much I earned, how much I conquered, how much others admired me. But at that stage of life, sitting at the kitchen table while the house was still asleep, I realized those metrics were wrong. In the Wild West, the most respected men weren't the richest. They were the ones who kept their word. The ones who came home. The ones who protected their own. I had to unlearn what the world taught me. I began to understand that success isn't about arriving first. It's about arriving whole, with your heart aligned with the path. I started measuring my days differently. How many times I truly listened. How many times I was present without checking my watch. How many times I sat on the floor to play, even when I was tired. I discovered that success is having someone to share dinner with. It's being sought after not out of obligation, but out of trust. It's being the one they turn to when the world gets heavy. Money still has its place, but it stopped being the center. Because no trophy is worth the silence inside your home. And no achievement compensates for a child who learns to grow up without you. If you're listening to this while chasing something, I want to speak directly to you. I'm not telling you to give up on your dreams, or to abandon your ambitions. The Wild West was built by people who dared to go beyond the horizon. But the ones who survived were those who knew when to stop. Ask yourself, where are you going? And who is being left behind? Success doesn't warn you when it starts to collect its debt. It arrives slowly, like dust on the road. By the time you notice, you're breathing it every day. Don't wait to lose it to value it. Don't wait for the silence to listen. Be ambitious, but be present. Build, but don't destroy what sustains you from within. The world will always ask for more of you. But your family asks for something simple. You. If this message reached you at the right time, don't ignore it. Some opportunities to correct the path never return. There is still time. As long as you're breathing, there is still time. If I could go back, I wouldn't change everything. Every mistake brought me here. But I would change the pace, the silence, the priorities. I would have learned to say no sooner. To turn off the phone. To choose the dinner table over the conference table. In the Wild West, the wisest men knew. He who rides too fast loses the trail. Today, I choose presence. I choose difficult conversations. I choose quality time, even when it's imperfect. I learned that leadership starts at home. That success starts with mutual respect. And that love needs action, not intention. I can't recover the years that passed, but I can honor the ones yet to come. And that, to me, is victory. The cost of success that no one mentions isn't the effort. It's the risk of losing those walking beside you. If this story touched you in some way, if you saw yourself on any of these roads, write in the comments, there is still time. Subscribe to the channel. Here, we don't talk about empty success. We talk about choices that save what truly matters. Because at the end of the road, what counts isn't how much you conquered, but who is still by your side when the sun goes down. See you on the next trail.